Okay, so today we will do the analysis of advanced tax law answer copy of a December 23 attempt. Now in this paper I have got 60 marks out of 100, in which 4 marks was for rationalization. Now let's check the question number 1. So in question number 1A, it was asked to calculate the taxable value of supply and GST liability of Mahesh for month of May 2023. Now there are 5 transactions given, in which we have to determine whether this transaction will include in taxable supply or not, and we have to calculate the GST liability. Now if we see the first transaction, that is goods supplied to Gravit Enterprises in state of Gujarat at instruction of Ramesh Enterprises registered in state of Karnataka. So whether this is supply or not, yes, this is supply, hence this will be included in taxable value of supply. So I have included it in taxable value of supply. Now second transaction, receipt toward consultancy of trademark registering of 2 product of client. It consists of 1 lakh rupees as consultancy fee and 20,000 rupees toward rates and taxes paid to the government. Now this is a pure agent service case where agent has provided its services along with some pure agent services like paying this 20,000 rupees on behalf of its client to government. So since this 20,000 rupees was paid on behalf of the client, hence this will not be included in taxable value of supply. Hence only rupees 1 lakh will be included in taxable value of supply. Here I have written only 1 lakh rupees as taxable value of supply. Now let's see the transaction number 3, which state that receipt toward sponsorship service provided to GR agency, a partnership firm registered under GST. It is an interstate supply. Now for sponsorship service, in case of sponsorship service, GST is to be paid on reverse charge mechanism. Hence it will not be included in the value of supply. Here I have stated nil. Now the fourth transaction, liquidated damages received from a Praful distributor, a dealer registered in the state of Gujarat, to compensate for injury due to late supply. There is no implied contract in this regard. Now in GST, liquidated damages received by any person will be included in value of taxable supply. Yes, if you see the ICAI indirect tax book, here it is stated that applicability of GST on liquidated damages, compensation and penalty arising out of breach of contract or other provision of law, where CBIC has clarified with respect to GST applicability on liquidated damages that agreeing to obligation to refrain from an act or to tolerate an act or situation or to do an act has been specifically declared as supply of service in para 5E of schedule 2nd. The same constitute a supply within meaning of GST Act. However, if you see the conditions were, there must be liquidated damages received and there must be a breach of contract. However, in the question, it is stated that there is no implied contract in this regard. That means there is no breach of contract. Hence, this value will not also be included in taxable value of supply. However, in examination, I have included in taxable value of supply because I didn't read this sentence. That is why I have included it in the value of supply, and which is marked wrong by the examiner accordingly. Now the fifth transaction, transfer of tenancy right against consideration in form of tenancy premium relating to the property located in Ahmedabad. Now the transfer of property right is subject to stamp duty. Now in GST, transfer of property right is subject to GST. Under Schedule 2nd of CGST Act, leasing or renting of immovable property is deemed to be supply of service even if it is subject to stamp duty. Hence, I have included it in the taxable value of supply. Now, if you see, my 4th transaction was wrong. However, my 3 transactions were correct. Even though examiner has granted me only 2 out of 5 marks. 2 marks out of 5 marks. Now, maybe I should have got at least 3 out of 5 marks because my 4 transactions were absolutely correct. Even my 1 transaction was wrong, but it's okay. I have got only 2 out of 5 marks. Now, let's move on to the question number 1B. Now, question number 1B asks about place of supply. We have to determine place of supply in given transactions. Now, transaction 1 state that Mufat is a person registered in GST in state of Rajasthan. Mufat registered in state of Rajasthan who intend to export good to a person, Chinmay, located in Taiwan. Export good, person in Taiwan. Mufat avails service of transportation of good by air to Taiwan from cargo operator Fazal, who is registered in state of Punjab. So by Fazal, Punjab. Now what is the place of supply? 1B. Under section 12, in case of good transportation service, place of supply shall be destination place of good if goods are required to be transported outside India. Hence, place of supply is Taiwan, that is destination of delivery. Now, next transaction. MPQ Event Management Company, registered at New Delhi, organizes an award function at Jaisalmer, Rajasthan for Mukund Jewellers, registered in Chennai. MPQ New Delhi held event at Rajasthan for Mukund, registered at Chennai. Now the provisions are, in case of event organization service provided to a registered person, place of supply shall be location of recipient. So Chennai, the location of Mukund Jewellers. In third transaction, Vishwas Planners of Ahmedabad planned and organized a retirement function of Prem Kishore, an unregistered person of Kolkata, at Ujjain. So VP Ahmedabad held event at Ujjain for Prem Kolkata, an unregistered person. Now there is a difference in provisions for place of supply in case recipient is registered and unregistered. So if the recipient is registered, then it will be place of recipient. However, if recipient is not registered, then it will be place where event is held, that is Ujjain. Now, Montu, registered in Bangalore, has availed DTH service from Raman. The DTH service equipment with fixed line is his office at Bangalore. Now, in case of installation of telecom towers, telecom or DTH services, it would be place where the equipment was installed. And hence, under section 12, in case of telecom service, where service is provided by fixed line, place of supply shall be place of installation, that is Jodhpur. So, I have mistakenly written Jodhpur, but that should be Bangalore. So I have mistakenly written the Jodhpur. However, I have correctly written this point, installation at fixed line. Now the fifth point. Naya of Mumbai booked online ticket at Delhi for an OTC water park at Goa. Now Naya of Mumbai buy ticket for event at Goa from Delhi. Now in case of admission to event, place of supply will be where event is held. Because in this case there would be many recipient and it is easy to allocate place of event as place of supply for better GST management. And that is why place of supply is Goa, i.e. place where event is held. Now, if I look back at the transaction number 4, the location written in question was Bangalore, but I have written the location as Jodhpur. But still examiner has given me full mark. That is a mystery to me, because in this question I have got 5 out of 5 marks. And as you can see, this was wrong. This was not Jodhpur, this was Bangalore. But still examiner has given me full marks. I think he has excused the typographical error, because it is a typographical error, and I think he has excused my typographical error. So yes. Now the question number 1C. Now question number 1C. In question number 1C, we are required to determine the eligible ITC available to Swastik Auto Limited for month of April 2023. Now, the first purchase given was payment made to Miss Jagdamba Caterers for providing daily breakfast and lunch to the employees of company. Now, under section 17, subsection 5 of CGST, a negative list is provided which blocks ITC for certain purchases. Now, under section 17 bracket 5, ITC is blocked for food and beverages, and that is why breakfast and lunch for employee is nil. Now I think that should be written food, beverages for employees. Now, the second transaction, that is payment made to contractor for construction of staff quarter. Now, the section 17 bracket 5 blocks the ITC on work contract service for construction of immovable property. Hence, no ITC can be claimed for construction of quarter. Point third, purchase of minibus, sitting capacity 15 persons for transportation of employees. Now, under section 17 bracket 5 blocks ITC on motor vehicle with sitting capacity less than equal to 13 persons. But in our case, it is 15, that is more than 13, and hence ITC is allowed. So that's why I have written the 5,06,000 here as ITC is allowed in full. Now, fourth point. Now, fourth point is an interesting point. This has also appeared in previous year question papers of ICSI, and I have practiced this question from there. That's why I am able to actually solve it in the examination. Now the purchase of iron which is used as raw material, okay, invoice received in GST paid for full amount, 100% amount. But only 90% of material received during the month of April and remaining 10% will be received in next month. That is bought raw material and made full payment, but actual delivery received only 90% in same month and 10% will be received in next month. Now in this case, provision of GST says that business will able to claim ITC in full in next month only. That means business cannot claim ITC for such purchase in same month. Why? Because this is case of purchase of raw materials in lot, and GST will be available only when last lot is received. That is ITC is allowed on goods used in business. However, ITC can be claimed when good is received by RP, registered person, and in case goods are received in lots, then ITC can be claimed in month when the last lot is received. That is month of May 2023. Now don't make mistake. You don't think that since 90% good has received, hence 90% of ITC can be claimed in month of April. No, this is a case of purchase in lots, and ITC can be claimed only after receipt of 100% of goods, that is receipt of last lot. Now there is another point given. Apart from that, company purchased tires valued 12 lakh exclusive of GST from a local dealer who is registered in GST under section 10 bracket 1, that is composition supplier, and pay tax at 1% to government. Now tires are going to be used for manufacturing of auto. Now a registered person cannot claim ITC for inputs purchased from a composition supplier. Now this point is a very tough point to find because I could not find it in book or in act. However, I knew this point because I have studied ICAI in direct tax book. I will give the link of book in description. However, this point is a very hidden point. I mean, yes, we know that a composition supplier cannot claim ITC, but vice versa is sometimes confusing. So yes, a registered person cannot also claim ITC on goods purchased from composition supplier. Now let's move on to the question number 1D. Now 1D question, in question number 1D, we have to calculate the net GST payable. I mean, yes, we have to calculate the taxable supply, then we have to calculate the GST payable. Now in this question, the 4 transactions were given, and first transaction relate to RCM list, and other 2 relate to exemption list, and 4th relate to schedule 1 list. Now the first transaction state that commission received as insurance agent from life insurance company. So this is a case of reverse charge mechanism, hence it will not be included in taxable supply, because in this case tax is required to be paid by the LIC to the government directly. Commission received from insurance agent, nil. Now the second point, service provided to recognized sport body as commentator. Now the exemption list and RCM list is a very long list. We cannot possibly memorize it, but what we can do is to write it sometime. I mean, if you have just started studying GST for this paper, don't touch RCM list or exemption list. Once you have completed the full topics of the book, and then you will move on to the RCM list and exemption list. Now what will you have to do is to make a short note. Don't memorize it, just make a short note and leave it, and just 1 or 2 days before examination revise it. Watch YouTube videos of teachers explaining the RCM and exemption list, and I think that will be it for you, because leaving this type of question is mistake. I mean, I also thought that I would leave this question because I am not able to memorize the RCM and exemption list, but I thought at the time of examination, like let's just give it a shot, and I have only watched the videos of teachers explaining the RCM and exemption list, and I have been able to score 3 marks out of 5. I mean, it is not bad mark. I mean, considering I am going to leave it, so 0 is better than 3. 3 is better than 0. Now let's move on to the next point. Electronically operated bus given on hire to municipal corporation. Now any services provided to the government or its corporations will be exempt from GST. However, I have included it here. That's why examiner has cut this point, because it is wrong. It is exempt. Now the 4th point, professional service provided free of cost to his independent married sister. Now any free services provided will form part of GST. However, supply made to a related person is deemed to be supply, but independent relative is not covered in person related, hence not tax payable. That's why I have written nil. So in this question only my 3 points were correct and my 1 point was wrong. Hence, examiner has granted me 3 marks out of 5. Now, question number 1 is complete. Now we'll move on to the question number 2. Now the question number 2, I have chosen question number 2A. Now in question number 2A first, we are required to determine documents to be issued for following situations. So first situation was Chirag, the registered person under GST, received advance payment with respect to supply of goods. Now in this case, we have to issue a receipt voucher. For advance payment received, we have to issue a receipt voucher. And my answer was correct. Now next point. Gaurav, a composition dealer, makes supply of goods worth 12,000 to a registered person. Now composition supplier is required to issue bill of supply. Third point. Vijay Shri Chemicals, a registered dealer of chemicals, sold good worth 30,000 to unregistered person. Value of 30,000 includes 5,000 towards exempt supply. Now, this is case when a registered person supply both taxable and exempt supply to an unregistered person. He is required to issue an invoice cum bill of supply. Now let's move on to the fourth point. Jai associate, a registered person, fails to make supply of goods even though it had already received the advance payment to make the supply. Now what happened? Failed to supply the goods, but payment has received in advance. Now he is required to refund the amount, and for this he is required to issue a refund voucher. Now next point. Bhairav Electric has sold taxable goods of 10,000 rupees to various unregistered person on 10th April 2023. Customers do not require the invoices in respect of the supply, and each supply of goods is up to rupees 200. So in such case, he is not required to issue any invoice. However, he should make a consolidated statement. Let's read the provision. RP is not required to issue invoice if value of supply is less than 250 rupees and recipient is not require the invoice and he is unregistered person, then supplier shall issue a consolidated statement at the end of the day containing such supplies, and that would be enough. Now let's move on to the second question, that is TDS question. Now we have given 3 situations in which we have to determine whether TDS is applicable or not. Now in first situation, a central government department registered under GST in the state of West Bengal enters into a contract with public sector undertaking registered in Haryana for supplying goods value 3 lakh. That is supply of goods between CG registered in West Bengal and PSU registered in Haryana. Now the both persons are covered under provisions of GST. Hence, they are not required to deduct TDS from each other. TDS is required to be deducted by persons mentioned in section 51 when they receive supply from registered person. However, TDS is not deductible when supply is provided by person mentioned in section 51 from other person mentioned in section 51. Hence, TDS is not deductible by CG department from PSU. Now second transaction, Darshil, registered person in state of Punjab, awarded a work contract by government department also registered under GST in Punjab amounting to 3,06,800 and GST of 46,800 being CGST and SGST. Now what happened here is Darshil Punjab provided services to government department in Punjab, and government department is required to pay to him 3,06,800 including GST of 46,800. Now whether government department is required to deduct TDS from Darshil? So under section 51 of CGST Act, person mentioned in section 51 is required to deduct TDS of 2% from payment made to registered person if net value of taxable supply exceed 2.5 lakh. However, this calculation should be made after excluding the GST and exempt supply. Now in given case, after deducting GST, the amount come out as 2,60,000. Hence, TDS is required to be deducted on this 2,60,000, that is 5,200. Next question. Nikita Enterprises, a registered person in Gujarat, was awarded a contract for supply of goods by PSU in Mumbai amounting to taxable supply of 5 lakh rupees. The place of supplying this good is Gujarat. Now what happened is, supplier is in Gujarat, goods supplied in Gujarat, however the recipient is in Mumbai, PSU is in Mumbai. Now the provisions are, in case of CGST Act 2017, TDS is not required to be deducted if location of registered recipient is different from the place of supply. Hence, TDS is not deductible. This provision came because of the conflicting state provision. Consider a PSU in Mumbai cannot collect TDS from person in Gujarat because the government in Gujarat will interfere. Now, next question. to a third. Now in this question, we have to calculate the penalty. Now let's understand the question with timeline method. So in October 19, 2021, supplier has filed his GSTR 3B for September 2021 and paid GST liability of 5 lakh by setting of 2.5 lakh ITC. Now on 31st Jan 2023, department issued show cause notice on account of fake invoice detected on which ITC claimed was 1.8 lakh rupees. Now on 25th Feb, Rahul want to pay the tax penalty on this date. Now we have to calculate the penalty if payment made by him on this date, that is after issuance of show cause notice. Now another question, what if he paid the penalties and tax in 25th Jan 2023, then what would be the penalty? I mean that is before issuance of show cause notice. Now that is solved by a chart. So under section 74, according to the section 74, if he paid the taxes and penalty before issuance of show cause notice, then penalty will be 15% of tax evaded or ITC claimed in fraudulent manner or in excess, then 15% of that amount. After issuance of show cause notice but in 30 days, then 25%. After issuance of show cause notice and after 30 days, then 50%. After issuance of recovery and demand order, then 100% of tax evaded would be penalty. Now in given case, this is the provision in written form. If you ask whether I can give the chart in exam, I mean yes, you can give this provision in chart form in exam, but according to me it is a bit risky. I mean maybe if teachers allow you can give, but for me it was a bit risky, so I have written the full provisions. Now if Rahul has to pay tax on 25th Feb, then penalty will be 25%. If Rahul pay tax on 25th Jan, then penalty will be 15% of 1.8 lakh. And I have got 4 out of 5 marks in this question. Now in question 2A4. Now it's simple theory question. It asked when do goods become liable for confiscation by the officer under section 130. I couldn't recall the provision at the time of examination. That's why I have been able to write only 1 point. That's why I have only got 1 mark out of 5 marks. Now let's move on to the next question, question number 3. Now question number 3 is of 4 marks each. It has 3A, B, C, D, E. Now the first question asks time of supply and refund claim. Now let me simplify the paragraph. On 12th May 2023, supplier received an advance of 2.5 lakh for services to be provided in June 2023. And he has also raised invoice, filed GST return and paid GST thereon. But in June 2023, service contract was cancelled by the recipient. Now we have to determine the time of supply and whether the supplier can claim refund on taxes paid by him. Now for time of supply, the provisions are under section 13 of CGST, time of supply of service in case invoice is issued timely is earlier of date of completion of service or date when payment is received. So invoice is said to be issued timely if it is issued within 30 days from completion of service. Now in given case, the time of supply will be 12th May, that is date of advance payment. Now for the second point, whether he can claim a refund or not. So yes, he can claim refund, but he cannot apply for refund claim. So the twist is, he will issue a credit note firstly, and then update the details of credit note in GSTR 3B for next month. Now this excess amount paid by him will be adjusted against the tax liability for that month. And if there would be no GST liability next month, only then he can apply for the refund claim. However, I have made mistake and directly written that a registered person may claim refund of tax which is paid by him, but later not supply has been made. So basically I got confused and I have been not able to write the correct answer. That's why examiner has given me only 1 marks in this question for the time of supply. Let's move on to the next question, question number 3B. Now in question number 3B, we have to state the time limit for issue of invoice in these 4 situations. So the first situation was Rasik sold goods worth 2 lakh rupees, which involved movement of good from the godown on 10th May, but goods were received by buyer on 14th May. Now, in case goods involve movement, invoice shall be issued on or before commencement of movement of good. Hence, invoice shall be issued on or before 10th May 2023, i.e. date of removal of good, and date of receipt of good by recipient is irrelevant. Now, second transaction. Ajay Financial Services NBFC provides supply of car loan to Gajendra on 15th May. On 15th May. Now on this question. In case of service, invoice shall be issued within 30 days from completion of service. However, in case of bank, NBFC, financial institution, invoice shall be issued within 45 days from completion of service. Now, I have written, hence Ajay Financial Services shall issue invoice on or before 30th June, i.e. 45 days plus 15th May. Now, examiner has marked it wrong. Why? Because if I show you the guideline answer, they have written 29th June. I have written 30th June. I mean same provision, same aspect, 15th May plus 45 days. Just the problem is I have added plus 1 day, and that is why examiner has marked my answer wrong. Now let's move on to the next transaction. Prakash has entered into agreement for continuous supply of repair. Prakash has entered into an agreement for continuous supply of repair and maintenance service for entire financial year. The due date of payment is not ascertainable. Now under the provisions, in case of continuous supply of service, invoice shall be issued on or before date of payment indicated in contract or actual date of payment if due date of payment is not indicated in contract. Hence, in given case, Prakash has to issue invoice on or before actual date of payment because due date is not ascertained. Now the last transaction, Vinith APCS has provided representation services before assessing officer on 25th Feb. The payment is made on 28th Feb. Now, under section 31, invoice in case of service shall be issued within 30 days from completion of service. Hence, Vinith shall issue invoice on or before 25th Feb 2023. No, this answer is wrong. The correct answer is 25th Feb plus 30 days is equals to 27th March. On or before 27th March. This answer was wrong, but still examiner has checked it as correct. I mean, if I show you the guideline answer. See, Vinith is required to issue tax invoice within 30 days from date of provision of service, 25th Feb, i.e. by 27th March. So, this was my mistake. My answer was wrong, but still examiner has checked it as correct. Now, let's move on to the next question. Question 3C. Now, this was a theory question. It asked that CGST and SGST was collected wrongly instead of IGST. Instead of IGST, CGST, SGST was collected. Now, under section 77, if registered person has collected central tax or state tax on supply made by him instead of integrated tax on erroneous belief that supply is interstate but it is actually interstate, then in such case he is eligible to pay the IGST, and in such case no penalty or interest shall be levied. I have got 2 out of 4 marks. Now, even though I have written word to word correctly, but still I have only get 2 out of 4 marks. If I show you the guideline answer, here it was as it is. Now, if you say the section is different, I mean the content of section 19 of IGST Act and section 77 of CGST Act is same. Now let's see the question number 3D, which asks state the person who are not qualified to act as authorized representative under section 116 of CGST Act 2017. Now I have not been able to recall the provisions. That is why I have only written 4 points, and examiner has granted me 2 out of 4 marks. Now let's move on to the next question. Question 3E. On question 3E, Lucky, a registered person under GST law, had failed to furnish return under section 39 of CGST Act even after service of notice by the proper officer. Proper officer assessed the tax liability and issued best judgment assessment order. Now, on behalf of this, we have to answer 3 questions. Time period within which such order may be issued, when such order shall be deemed to have been withdrawn, on withdrawn of order, whether RP is relieved from payment of late fee. Now, under section 62, assessment order shall be issued within 5 years from last date of annual return for financial year to which return not filed relate. I have gained 1 mark. Now, best judgment assessment order shall be deemed to have been withdrawn when SSE has filed return within 30 days from the order. Now, third point, on withdrawal of order, RP is not deemed to be relieved from the payment of late fee. That means he is required to pay the late fee. However, examiner has marked it as wrong. However, my answer is correct. If I show you the guideline answer, 3E third. Here, liability for payment of late fee shall continue even after withdrawal of best judgment assessment order. So I don't know why examiner has marked it as wrong, even though my answer was correct. Now I have got 3 marks out of 4 marks in this question. Now let's move on to the question number 4. Now question number 4A and 4B relates to custom law. Now the question number 4A was to calculate the assessable value and total duties payable under custom law. Now I have correctly calculated the FOB value and assessable value. However, I have incorrectly applied the basic custom duty rate. So what happened was that we have to take the rate of BCD as on date of presenting BOE or date of entry inward, whichever is later. Now in the question, the bill of exchange on 15th April, which was later, and that's why I have to take the 20% rate. However, I have mistakenly taken the 12% rate. I have mistakenly taken the 12% rate. That's why my calculation was gone incorrectly, and that is why examiner has given me only 2.5 marks out of 5 marks. Now let's move on to the next question. Question number 4B. Now 4B asked differences between advance authorization scheme and duty-free import authorization. However, I have not prepared for it, and that is why I couldn't able to answer it. Now question number 5A. Now from the question number 5, we will be starting income tax law. That is income tax. From question number 5 and 6, income tax. Now the question number 5A, we have to calculate the tax liability of company for assessment year 2023 to 2024. Now the company was AMN Private Limited, manufacturer of medicine, opted concessional tax regime under section 15AA. Income of company was 60 lakh. So I was not able to recall the rate that is applicable under section 15AA. That's why I have not answered the question. Because this is there was no point in answering the question if I am not able to recall the rate that is applicable in section 15AA. It would be a wastage of time. That's why I have left it. However, if I show you the correct calculation, that is computation of tax liability. Now the rate applicable was 22%. So the answer was simple. Total income 60 lakh. Tax payable 22% of 60 lakh, 13 lakh 20,000. Add surcharge, add cess, and total tax liability. Now let's move on to the question number 5B. Tax on issue of shares at premium. Now here, a Bharat Private Limited, that is a closely held company, issued 20,000 equity shares to NRI at rate of 75% per share, at rate of 75 rupees per share, whereas market value of share was 45 rupees and face value was 10 rupees. Now assessing officer charged the tax under section 56 subsection 2, whether valid. So yes, this is valid under section 56 subsection 2. When a closely held company receives issue price, both face value and premium, more than from resident person, more than fair market value, then it is required to pay the difference in then it is required to pay the tax on the point of difference, i.e. it will be added in its total income. However, this does not apply in case of non-resident person, listed company, venture capital, startup. And in our case, the Naman was a non-resident, hence the above provision not apply to Bharat Company Limited for such transaction. And I have got 2 marks out of 3 marks. Now let's move on to the question number 5C. Now in question number 5C, we have to determine the taxability. Now this was simply the question from the scope of total income chart. Now in this, the first question asked was, Mr. S, who is an RNOR, received the rent from house in Dubai and deposited in Dubai bank account. So under Income Tax Act, in case of RNOR, income which accrued arise outside India and not deemed to accrue arise in India, not included in total income of RNOR. Hence, Sharad is not required to pay any tax on such rent. It was correct. Now, in second question, EFG Limited, USA, receives 20 lakh rupees from Indian company for R&D of business to be established in Japan. Now, under Section 9 of Income Tax Act, in case NR receives the fees for technical service from a resident in India, except where such service is utilized for business outside India, shall be included in the total income. And in our case, the technical service was utilized for business outside India, hence no tax is payable, and EFG Limited is not required to pay any tax. However, examiner has marked it as wrong, but my answer was correct. If I show you the guideline answer, C second, 5C second. So the conducting a feasibility study in relation to new business unit to be established in Japan shall not be taxable as it is for business outside India. However, examiner has marked it as wrong. I don't know why. Now let's move on to the transaction number 3. Now that is Sakshi, a non-resident Indian NRI working in company of Singapore, directed her company to directly credit the salary of 2 months in the bank account maintained in Delhi to meet her father's medical treatment. Now I thought this was the case of remittance of money outside India, from outside India to India. And if you see the chart of scope of total income, you see that the remittance of any type of amount in India is not taxable. So that is why I have written that under IT Act, money remitted in India not included in total income, either resident or not. Hence, Sakshi not required to pay any tax. However, examiner has marked it as wrong. Now if I see the guideline answer, they have written salary income of 2 months will be taxable in hands of Mrs. Sakshi even though she is non-resident, because salary income is received in bank account maintained in India. Okay, so now let's move on to the question number 6. So in question number 6A, we have to calculate the tax liability of a company. Now the details were given as the turnover of company was 380 crore. Its dividend was from 3 companies as follows. Now in my answer, I have applied the provisions of section 80M that dividend received from Indian company, dividend received by Indian company from domestic company or foreign company or business trust can be claimed as deduction from gross total income. However, this was incorrect because section 80M, if I show you the guideline answer, because section 80M applies only on dividend received before 1st April 2020 and not the dividend received after April 2020. And further, under section 56 bracket में 2 bracket में 1 with effect from 2021, dividend received from Indian company would be counted as income from other sources. So in given case, section 80M would not apply and section 56 bracket 2 bracket 1 would apply. Hence, that is why the dividend received from various companies were included in the total income of company and tax was calculated. Now let's move on to the question number 3B. Now it asked for the computation of ALP. Now in my answer, I have correctly calculated the first 2 points, but I have not been able to calculate the further points. That is why examiner has granted only 2 out of 5 marks. Now let's move on to the next question, that is distinguish between tax evasion and tax avoidance. Now this is a difference question. I have read it before going into examination. That's why I've been able to answer at least 4 points for this. And that is why examiner has given me 4 out of 5 marks. Okay, now let's discuss the preparation strategy for advanced tax laws. Now what you have to do for all GST, income tax and custom part, classify the questions asked in previous year question paper in chapter wise manner. First you have to do this. Secondly, try to solve every question that has come into examination. Why? Because if you are not able to answer the questions in your hand, then how are you able to answer the questions that come in your next examination? So try to solve every question in examination. And if you cannot solve any question, then mark it for later and then do a research on YouTube or ask your teacher for its solution. But you must get solution for each and every question that has been asked in previous year question paper before going forward. Because you have studied GST and income tax and custom in your executive level, so you don't have to start from scratch. Because the problem lies in professional GST examination is not that you don't know basic, is that you don't know some loopholes, that internal loopholes that is not written on the face of act or book. So try to solve each and every question that has came in previous year question paper. This is the most important. If you leave this, you might find difficult to answer the questions in examination. Now, the second point is, for GST and custom, our ICSI book is not enough. For GST and custom, you have to study the ICAI indirect tax book. I will give the link for the book in description. You have to study that book if you want to cover your GST and custom, because our ICSI book does not cover proper content for GST and custom, because there are many illustrations in ICAI book that has came in our previous examinations of ICSI. So first point is, try to solve each and every question that came in previous examination. Secondly, for GST and custom, you have to study ICAI indirect tax book. If you do these 2 things, then you will be able to easily pass the advanced tax law examination. And this applies to new syllabus also. Now you may ask that for new syllabus there are not enough question papers. No, you have to solve the question papers of old syllabus. I mean, for students who are enrolled for 2022 syllabus can solve the question paper provided in 2017 syllabus, because the questions asked in 2017 syllabus examination papers may repeat in 2022 attempt papers. because the syllabus change, but the rules and how law works doesn't change. So whether you are new syllabus or old syllabus, you should download the previous year question paper and try to solve each and every question of that question paper. Look, I have done that mistake. That's why I have failed one attempt of professional program. Please don't do that mistake. So try to solve each and every question of previous year question paper and study GST and custom from ICAI indirect tax book. And for income tax part, our ICSI book is enough. You don't need to refer any other book for that part. But for GST and custom, ICAI indirect tax book is must. I will give its link in description. You can go there and download the book. And now for the exemption and RCM list part, you don't need to memorize it. Don't waste your time. You can just make a short note of exemptions and RCM list, and one day before going into examination you can revise it and you will be good to go. Because in our examination, examiner will not ask you to write 5 exemptions or write 5 RCM lists. He will give you a transaction and ask you to determine whether it is exempt or not, So what you have to do, if you have read the exemption and RCM list, you will be able to identify whether this transaction was exempt or not, because the transactions written in exemption list or RCM list is unique, so you will identify it correctly. Yes, so that sums up my analysis and preparation strategy. So yes, thank you. Bye bye.